This is my little 115 volt MIG welder. It's a Daytona Mig. That company's now out of business. I think I bought it in 2004 probably. At the time it was the most powerful one on the market, and it's still, I was just looking around, I don't see any rated the same as this, so I guess that still holds. It hasn't been too bad of a machine. I've had some problems with it that I didn't have to get any parts for it. I just dealt with it myself. But it does weld a thicker material than some of the other ones. I'll show you the specs on it. It has the left knob is for wire feed control. It has 7 settings for heat, and the little rocker switch, I put that in myself so I could turn it off and not have to change the other knob for power settings. Let me go close up. I'll show you the spec sheet on it. I don't know if you can see it or not. There it is. Anyway, they call it a 145. The main difference you'll notice is that second line on the right there, it's rated at 25 amps of current it pulls at 115 volts, where most of the other ones pull 20 amps. And then if you go to the 30% bracket, you'll see it says at 100 amps, it has a 30% duty cycle at 19 volts. And most of the other ones are most of the 140s, like the Miller and the Hobart, and the other ones are 90 amps. It's a 20% duty cycle at 90 amps, and they're 19 volts, I think. This one is, or they're 18 volts. This one's 19. So it's got a little more power, and the gun's okay. It's not too bad. It takes regular consumables on it. And it does take a, it will take a 10-pound spool. And it has the, you can disconnect on the inside there and use it for flux core if you want. I just put a 23,000 stuff in there now. I'm going to start using it for welding lighter stuff. My other welder works good for heavier stuff. With 35 thousandths wire, though, I have welded 1/2-inch plate with this, no problem. You have to V it out, but I mean, it'll weld it, no problem. Not a bad little welder. Too bad they don't make it anymore. It was actually made by the company, if you look here, the company's name is Sabora, out of Italy. And I guess Daytona Mig got a hold of them, and they had them build this exclusively for them. At some time or another, I think Sabora sold some to, I'm thinking Marquette and maybe some other people under different names. You can tell by their faceplate that they look like that. But the ones that they sold are shorter. I think they have a smaller transformer in them. This one weighs 65 pounds, so it's kind of heavy. Got a big transformer in it. But it's 10 years old and it's still working. The one main problem I had with it was burn up the circuit board. They're pulling 25 amps of current through the foil on a circuit board, and it was too small and too thin. Usually when you're pulling a lot of current through a circuit board, they'll at least build that trace up with solder so it'll pull extra current, but they didn't even do that. So anyway, I was welding with some heavy welding on with it wide open and actually burn up the circuit board in it. So what I did instead of repairing the circuit board is I just bypassed that part of the circuit board and with a wire, 14 gauge wire, and then I put a fuse in it. And I put a 25 amp fuse at first, but a 25 amp fuse, after using it for, on and off, 4 or 5 welds, the 25 amp fuse would go out. So I finally ended up putting a 30 amp fuse. It's got an automotive type fuse in it. And since I went to the 30 amp fuse, that holds up pretty good. But it's, like I said, it's a pretty bad little deal for something that plugs into the wall. On a regular 20 amp circuit, you have to turn it down to I think 5 or 6 maybe. 5 on if you have 35 thousandths wire, and you can probably do 6 if you're using a smaller wire. And it does flux core, like I said. It's got the leads, you can change them. It's a DC machine. I paid about, I think it was about $650 for it. Not a bad little machine though. See ya.